Let's get started with creating Facebook ads. The first thing you need to do is to go up here where the triangle, press on it once, go down where it says create ads. Now once you go in here, it's going to load your ad account, and now you're ready to get started. First step is to choose your objective. So we have one that's awareness, where you increase the brand awareness, or you reach out to people so you get as many people as you can to check it out. Next thing that you can do is consideration, which includes traffic, generating traffic to come over, engagement, app installs, video views, lead generation, or messages. Lastly is conversion. Do you want to convert people exactly to buy your items? Catalog sales or store visits. Store visits is actually one of the things I do suggest for you to do. Another thing that you could possibly do is video views. So if you have a video, you can get traffic to come over there. So you have to figure out which is the correct one for you. And if you can't figure it out, it doesn't really matter. You can just pick one that's very closely related to what you're doing. If it doesn't work, you can always switch it and run it again. This is where experimentation is very important. So we're going to go into traffic. Press on it once. That's going to be our objective. Next thing we're going to be doing is creating a campaign name. So it already gives us a campaign name, which is traffic. Best for us to keep it the same name so we know if this campaign actually works or not. Then we're going to be pressing on continue. Now next step for us is to create and figure out which is the age group that we are going to be actually sending this to. So it says United States 18 plus. We are pressing on advanced options, and over here we can go and add extra information in here if we actually want. Next thing is the traffic. Where is the traffic coming from? Where do I want the traffic to come from? Is it going to be the app? Is it going to be the messenger? So I can send this traffic directly to my website. If you have a website, that's where you want to send them to. Since I have a website, that's where I'm going to be actually sending them to. If you have an app or you want to send them directly to a messenger, you can do this as well. Now we can drive a lot more traffic by creating a conversion by giving them a specific offer. So we can turn this on and we can pick our Facebook page that we want the specific offer to be featured at. So if you have a Facebook page, I totally suggest for you to use it. Since I have a bunch of different Facebook pages, I'm just going to give them an offer in my specific Facebook page. So let's press on create an offer over here, and now there's all those details that we can put in here, such as 20% off. Well, I'm going to give them 20. I'm going to give them the $9.99 access to any course. There we go. And tell them that this is a limited time offer, and therefore it's going to start and has a start date, and it's also going to have an end date as well. So here is the end date for this one. Now one thing that it doesn't let you do, it doesn't let you specifically find where the end date is going to actually happen. So it's going to expire on a specific day instead. So you don't have a start date, but you have an end date, which is kind of weird, but that's how it actually works. So if you want this offer to last only a few days, we instead pick this much closer to the day of today. So today is the 16th. We can pick the 19th to be the end date, and we can also pick the specific time that this offer actually ends. So let's pick the time. 12 p.m. would be the time. So where can people redeem this? Well, they can redeem this online. Therefore, I have to enter my website in here. Now over here is the type of promo code. So you can post in the type of code that they have to use right here. So if there is a specific code, they can go and use it. If there is no code, you just put in no code. If there is a unique code, you can actually create a specific template for the code itself. Also, how many offers are available, that's pretty important. Let's put in 100 in here. So they know there's only 100 people who can redeem this offer. That's very limited. If you want to make it even more limited, let's move it to 25. That's going to make it super limited right here. Next step for us is the advanced options. If we want the hide the show button, I really like this, so let's not take it out. Terms and conditions, you can tell people that this is a limited time offer, when it expires, and so on. If you don't want to do this, you can just skip this one. And next step for us is to go down and press on create the offer, which is right in the bottom. So after we did this part of it, next step for us is to figure out the audience that we're going to be sending this to. And the next step for us to do is to find what kind of audience we are actually looking for. That's very, very important, because this is what's going to get us the most actual sales in here, and it's going to let us target exactly the type of people that we want to buy our classes. So the location is pretty much very important. So anyone in this location, which is going to be United States. If we don't want the United States, we just X it out. So we're going to go in here and try to find the country that we want to target this to. Let's say, for example, we live in Australia. So let's type in Australia right here. Press on this. Now we have the country that we are actually targeting. Next thing we want to do is to target specific cities in Australia. So Sydney would be one of those. So Sydney, Australia, and we want to pick the correct one. So Sydney, Nova Scotia is definitely the wrong city. If you're just targeting Australia, we have to go to that one. So we are targeting one specific city, and we can include more than one city. Now, one thing that is very important here is how much of the city do you want the ad to actually target. So the white stuff is the actual city. The white next to the green is the suburbs with the city, and the green stuff is pretty much where nobody actually lives in. It's not an actual city. But if you want to include the actual city, you can increase the radius a bit more. So let's increase it all the way to 50. And now we're including everything in the city and the suburbs as well. On the other hand, if you want to get a bigger city, such as Los Angeles, which is really a huge city in the United States, let's type this one in. This city is mega size. Since it's so big, just 50 miles is not even going to cover the entire city. It covers a lot of it, but it skips on a lot of other cities that are very close to it. On the other hand, a city such as New York City, and those are cities in the United States, those cities are different. Well, we just found New York State, which is a mistake, because it is an entire state and we actually want to have just New York City. So here we go, New York City right here, and pretty much 25 miles covers up most of that specific city, so we don't really need anything more than that. So we picked on Australia, United States, we picked a few major cities, and that's pretty good. So the next step for us is to figure out the specific age of the people that we want to attract this ad to. So it's going to be 21 years old, and we're going to have to figure out which is the prime ages for somebody who is enrolling in my classes is going to actually buy them. So 21 to 55 I think is the best kind of age. Now if you're just targeting men, make sure you press on it, or only women, you press on it as well. Now you can target both, and I totally suggest for you to target both, especially if you don't know what kind of people are gonna specifically buy what you're actually selling. Next step is the specific language. So if you're just targeting English speakers, make sure you press on that. If you're targeting other kind of speakers, well, we can press on that as well and just add them up too. Now, detailed targeting. This is targeting exactly who we want to enter this class. So one thing is Udemy. Anyone who has something to do with Udemy would be great. Now, if I'm going to be targeting something very specific here, such as my Lego class, so let's type in Lego, we have to pick the interest for that. So I just typed in Udemy and Lego and added up combine. So now it combines both of those together. And the estimated daily reach for something like this is 1,600 to potentially 6,000 people, which is and translates to 15 to 37 links per day. So this is kind of everything we need to do in here, and we are pretty much all set with that part. Now automatic payments is going to be what I'll be actually using, and the next step for that is the connections. So the type of connections we have here, let's go in there. It's going to be Facebook pages, so people who like my page could be connected to this. Friends of people who like my page, we can go into apps, and people who like my app, people who already watched my app, and such as well. People who responded to your event too. So you can target people who are your friends, or people who actually press that they like your page, and this way you get people who are very close to you, or people who you've been talking to before, and make sure you market to them. So people on your Facebook page, people who are your friends, and so on. This is going to work great for you. Anyone who you want to target outside with, you don't have to use the connections part. You can just skip that instead. Now save this audience. This is what we actually want if you want to save this. Now we have a few other options that we can actually include here. Also, we can exclude people that we don't want to actually go in here. We can narrow the audience down even more, or we can expand the interest, and this might actually increase the link clicks or lower them at the cost of it as well. But it is another choice that we can actually do. So this is just one out of many choices that we can go about and try it out. Now after we go in here, we go into the budget and schedule. So the daily budget for this is 20 bucks a month, but you can increase it for how much you actually want. Since I want to do as little money as I can, because I'll just be experimenting with this, it's going to be $1 a day. Why do I do the littlest as possible? Well, we're experimenting every time we create those ads, and if the first time it doesn't work, we can try it again. Well, else on the other hand, if you spend a lot of money on those ads, you're going to run out of your budget pretty quick. So I do suggest for you to start as little as possible. Another suggestion for you to do is the lifetime budget. With the lifetime budget, this gives us an option for 350 bucks, which is way too much. So you can limit your ad to the lowest possible amount, which is and has to be 28 bucks. So instead, another way for you to do this, to make sure that you don't accidentally spend too much money, is to limit the budget to the maximum amount you're willing to spend, which is going to be 28 bucks. So 28 versus just $1 a day. If you're doing $1 a day, which is going to be the daily budget, I do recommend for you to set a start and end date. With the start and end date, we're just going to go and post it specifically to what date do we want to start and what date do we actually want to end. So after you go about and figure out the start and end date, we want to make sure this actually only goes to 7 days, so we don't spend too much money on this. So the start date starts at the 16th, the end date is going to be in the same exact month, which is going to be the 19th right here. So this is going to run for only 3 days, and it's only going to give us $3 here. That's even better because it gives us very small amount of time for this to actually work, and therefore we can experiment with a very small amount of cash here. You don't have to post a lot of money to try to figure out if this ad actually works or not. Now the bid strategy over here is to set a bid cap for it, so we can figure out how much per link are we willing to pay for this amount. So let's go and post a very small amount of a bid cap for that. If somebody goes in there, I'm willing to pay no more than 10 cents per link. Of course, that's going to give me a very low quality engagement over here, but at the same exact time, I'm not going to get that many people just eating my budget up with people who potentially may or might not actually buy the item that I'm selling, the online class. So you want to try to set it as low as you possibly can. And even if it doesn't bring you this many bids, hopefully with the higher number of engagement, somebody will actually go in and buy the product that you're actually selling. So when you get charged, you can get charged for many different things. Impression, when somebody just clicks like over it. Link, they actually go click on your item. So when you get charged, there is 2 ways for you to get charged. One is impression, when somebody goes right over this item, such as just hovers it over it for like 10 seconds or watches the video just a bit but they don't click on the actual item. So what's the point of impression? It's just a waste of money, and for Facebook to actually get paid, you want to have a link click where somebody clicks on the item and actually goes to your website. And after that, you want to make sure that you're not getting overcharged for it. So therefore, no more than 10 cents per link click for the person who is going and visiting your page. Now, this actually sums up all the basic stuff that we have. And now, this tells us that this is in the past. Well, this is true. So let's go and change it. Now, it doesn't like my daily budget as well here. It doesn't like that it cannot be any less than $5. So we want to make sure we can do this. So let's go and switch this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's enough days for this to be one more day to give us the $5. That is the minimum required to run this specific ad. Now press on continue it here, and now it's gonna approve them. Now you have a few different choices that you can make here. Carousel, you have a few ads with a few images. Single image, if you're really good and you're creating an amazing image, that's gonna work for you. Single video, you can actually go and post an amazing video, but if nobody watches it, what is the entire point? In fact, I'm gonna have the video on my website, then for them hover over it on Facebook and then decide if they actually want to buy something from you or not. Then once they're thinking about decision, they're still on Facebook. You don't want that. Instead, a single image is probably the best possible thing you can do. Here is they click on it and they go directly to the page, and that's it. But with the single video, it is something that you can potentially do here if you're using a different kind of method. Now, the way I go about with the single video over here, I create a video that is not really that amazing. In fact, it is boring video. So you want people to watch it, and then at the same time they're like, oh, this is interesting, but maybe we should check out what is above it, which is the text. So my whole entire point of the video is for them to watch it and then kind of not wanna click on the video, instead click on my website. So that is my strategy. Of course, that might or may not work for you. So you have to figure out what is the correct strategy for you to use in order for this to actually work. Next step for here is to post down the creative part. So let's go and post the offer for it. So I put in something that lets them be interested if they want to buy the item that they're actually buying. Another thing is the conversion, the tracking pixel, and you can actually have it if you have your own Facebook page. Therefore, I totally suggest for you to actually go and create it. Plus, another thing is when you're having a video, it takes a while for it to load up. So it's still thinking, it still takes a time for it to load up the whole actual video. Now, next step is to figure out where this ad is going to be placed, which is going to be desktop newsfeed. That's everybody actually watching it. Mobile news feed, which is you're targeting the mobile people. Or, of course, you can target the marketplace where people already buy stuff. This is probably the best place for us to target. Since we are targeting the marketplaces, people are already in the mood for buying something. And since they're already in the mood for buying something, they might as well just go and buy something that you are actually selling. So since I put in the video over here, you have to figure out what thumbnail you want to actually use. So let's use the best looking one. So this is an interesting one right here. I'm going to be posting that one up. And now next step for me to do is to do the video captions. So let's let Facebook generate their captions automatically. Press over here, save to video. So this is it. This is all you really have to do here in order to start creating your own Facebook ads. So make sure you go through everything in here. Watch this video again if you actually have to for reference, and then figure out how you're gonna go and create your own Facebook ads campaign yourself.